Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to Broken Sword 5, the Serpent's Curse. Honestly, this game needs more snakes at this point. So we cheered up Pearl by doing several really difficult puzzles, honestly.
The carving showed a figure in prayer.
So the Pearl is probably going to answer some question that's going to open a secret passageway, I would suspect. So we need to talk to her.
Mrs. Henderson.
This room looks like a
George,
dead end,
dear boy.
but I know it isn't.
How
This
you
probably
feeling?
opens right here, this whole crack.
Oh, just fine, thank you. I have just seen a miracle, George.
A miracle I made.
All gonna be all right from now.
I'm sure it is, Mrs. Henderson. I'm sure it is.
Now, arguably, let's think about Linné and how fat he was as a character. Dwayne and Pearl have always been big, but I would say they are still smaller than Linné is. Let's go through everything and get non-responses for all of that, as we have been
I
doing.
was sure he didn't want to see it.
He? We're talking to Pearl.
Hey, have a look at this.
Don't you bring that thing anywhere near me, honey.
His name is Trevor.
You gave that a name?
He's a loyal and useful companion.
So is Dwayne, but I don't keep him in a box, George.
Well, there was that one time, honey.
Not now, Dwayne.
Good thing we had the radio.
In my line of work, I'm always prepared.
For what?
Well, thieves. I gotta protect my lunchbox somehow, George.
So, I guess I'm talking to both of them. I just had a slight flashback in my memory here of Broken Sword 4 and that scene that was in a prostitution den is, I guess, the best place, and how highly sexual that was out of the blue. And then I'm thinking about the beginning of episode 1 where all the paintings have nudes. They seem to have that happen in this game for no reason. It seems like something you could have left out and just edited down.
Pearl, does this mean anything to you?
Oh, nothing, dear. Apart from the obvious Gnostic connotations, of course.
What?
You know, the Dominicans. All those Gnostic saints. Doubting Thomas, Judas, and you see the woman in the red cloak? The infamous Mary Magdalene herself.
A lady in red.
That's enough now, Dwayne. You know my feelings about her.
Pearl knew her Gnostic onions, all right.
Then there's the Ouroboros, of course.
Something special about it?
Well, if I remember rightly, there was an Ouroboros right here in this chapel. Back in the 30s and 40s, the chapel was renovated. The workmen uncovered numerous symbols carved in the rock. Amongst them was a fine Ouroboros.
But that's amazing. So, where is it?
Oh, it's not there now.
Oh.
It was considered blasphemous, so they plastered over. Sweetheart, I think it's time for us to go. The road to enlightenment waits for no woman.
So I don't get to show any of the other items.
It was so nice to see you
This
again.
sucks.
And meet your girlfriend.
Will not.
Take this radio, Nico. Never know when you might need it. Keep an eye on our boy, George.
So at some point we're gonna
Poor
get separated
little lost lamb.
and have to use the radio.
Don't worry, this little lamb's in safe hands. Bon voyage.
Of course, we both
Bye-bye,
have cell
dear.
phones that stopped working a long time ago. So the fact that the game is
See ya.
giving us radios back makes little sense.
Nico, don't even start.
Little lamb?
let's focus on the task in hand, shall we? Okay. This Ouroboros that Pearl mentioned.
You're right. We need to find it.
So I imagine it's just behind this altar.
A modern plaster altar had been built against the rock.
Alright, well, we've got a mason's hammer. Let's use it.
I hoped this was the right thing to do. Hey, Nico, I found the Ouroboros.
One swing.
So what now?
Pearl was right. The plaster had covered an Ouroboros.
Well, then let's just try the medallion on it.
I held the medallion against the Ouroboros. Nothing happened.
I'm surprised that didn't
I
work.
pushed the Ouroboros, but nothing happened.
Let's
The
move
crank
this
handle was
down.
connected to the candelabra.
And I can't move that.
The Black Madonna was clearly the focal point of the chapel.
Well, am I supposed to just smash the Ouroboros?
I'd already found the Ouroboros. There was no need to damage any more of the chapel.
And see, we still have our phones, but we can't use them.
That wouldn't work. It was a wall of rock.
Apparently, I can just maybe hit the wall of rock.
That would be pointless.
Yeah, just smash the Black Madonna.
I decided to exhaust my other options before I started smashing up religious artifacts. I couldn't see anything unusual about it.
This doesn't make the most amount of sense. Let's see. What could we do besides smash it? We can get a candle now. She's not in the
The
way.
view over the valley was spectacular.
And maybe that's what we needed, was a candle. So maybe if we mix the candle with the Ouroboros, I guess that's what we're supposed to do. So 3 or 4 more scenes, I would guess. We'll find what the Tabula Veritas is. Eva may show up as either being in danger or working for the bad guys. The bad guys will certainly show up, and then in some coincidence they'll get killed. That's probably not going to be George's fault. Let's see, candle with the Black Madonna.
That would be pointless. It was an ordinary candle in a colored glass. Nico wouldn't be interested. She wouldn't want to see it.
Interesting. I wonder if there's anything we should do.
Nico wouldn't be interested.
See, the broken pieces don't strike me as important.
Why didn't Marquez want his medallion back?
And I can't move the heavenly
candlelight
lights.
was dancing on the Black Madonna. Now that was one heavenly sight.
Yarn on the Ouroboros.
I needed a better idea.
Yarn on the candle.
It didn't work.
So the candle does work with...
That so didn't work. They didn't go together.
Interesting, I can't get back into the menu.
Nope. I needed to try something else. A large Ouroboros dominated the center of the painting.
And then a red, a blue and a green and a red was what we did before, so perhaps we could find some different colors and paint different candles. I think that's what we need to do.
I already had a candle.
But the weird thing is, I don't see any paint. We can't do anything with the wood shavings.
They smelled exotic. A carving of a kneeling figure praying to the Madonna. That wouldn't have worked.
So, yet again, we're in this position where it doesn't feel like... Oh, there is a recess here. Like, you can't even see it. So let's come back this way and see if we can pick up a blue candle.
I didn't need any more candles.
So I just lucked into that. The game's not giving any hints at all. And I know the game has a hint system, but all point-and-click adventures should give an indication, an idea of what you're supposed to accomplish, just in general, by having the main character talk to himself or somebody else clearly state what the goal is. And they're not doing that, which then immediately makes all of the puzzles dangerously close to moon logic, because you have no idea what you're even supposed to do. The goal isn't apparent, let alone how you're going to achieve it. And that shouldn't be in games.
I placed a candle in the recess above which Puritas had been carved.
Puritas. Which...
That wouldn't work. That wouldn't have worked.
And see, I don't see another recess anywhere. Let's press this and see if something's different now.
I pulled the Ouroboros, but it wouldn't budge.
Which is funny because...
That wouldn't work. That wouldn't have worked.
Like, I have no clue.
A modern plaster altar had been built against the rock.
Let's talk to Nico, then we're just gonna have to use a hint.
Nico?
Let's see, we've done all of these, but I guess we haven't talked to her about it.
How do you like my lights, Nico?
They look heavenly, George.
How come your Ave Maria sounds so much better than mine?
Catholic upbringing.
What do you think of the incense?
Smells familiar?
Just like church?
Not quite, but it'll do.
So, all of these feel like things you should have been able to talk to her about before Pearl left.
Got any ideas?
If the Ouroboros represents hidden knowledge, maybe there's something else we need to do before it's revealed.
I found a statue over there. A black Madonna.
Great. What did you find out about it?
That's all I got.
Well, it's not a lot to go on.
What do you think of this place?
If I were an estate agent, I'd say...
It's got potential.
Right.
And that ends the conversation. So, if this is the lady in red idea, and maybe I was supposed to make her in red? But I don't know how I would do that.
That wasn't worth trying.
So we're straight to the hints. What do I do with the Ouroboros? The recess above the symbol says Puritas is important. So Puritas, I assume, means purity, which I assume means they want it to be a white candle. You've seen that word. Remember, ex igni puritas, from fire purity. Okay, so we put a candle there. You need to shed some light on the recess. Okay, is the candle not lit?
I'd placed a candle into the recess.
Let's try a match on it. Maybe it just isn't lit.
What was that noise?
Interesting. And we're down to one last match now. Conveniently for the story.
I knew it. Another secret passageway.
Amazing, Charles. How did you do it?
Just another case of the old Stobbart magic, I guess, Nico. It looks a little dark in there.
Are you scared, Charles?
Of course not.
They have cell phones.
Worried about you tripping, that's all.
They would work as flashlights at the very least. One short, very dark climb later, they skipped that whole section and all that animation.
Oh, this is one dark cave.
Why didn't they just grab another candle?
It's the door that worries me, George.
Well, I'm sure the door will open again if we give it a minute. No need to panic.
So this, about a minute later.
Now we panic. Help! I gotta say, Nico, you're pretty calm about this.
Traveling with you, George, I've got used to this kind of thing. If I panicked every time a door shut behind us, probably forever, well...
You're right. What was I thinking? You see if you can get the door open, and I'll go check out the dark, evil-smelling cave.
So he didn't take a cave with
Running around in the
a
dark
candle
wasn't
with
gonna
him.
be fun. But heck, I'd spent a lifetime doing it, so what was new?
And remember, this game is using, from what I can tell, the limited color set that only works on old TVs, basically. The opposite of what HDR is. Which makes things look even darker. So this is a really bad setup. We've got several things we can click on. And I guess we will.
The wall felt like it had something carved into it.
Let's see. What if we use this with this?
Never in a month of Sundays.
I don't even know that saying, so I don't know what that means.
It felt cold and smooth, with some indentations along the surface.
So am I supposed to put this in the stone
I
thing?
needed a better idea. It was a small round object made of fabric with a musty smell.
That's probably a animal.
It was stone with a recess in it and, an oily liquid in it. There was some kind of thin twine in the middle of it too.
See, this is gonna be a
It was
funny,
a flat surface like stone.
funny twist when the lights come on that we're gonna find out that it's completely different from what he thinks
For a
it
moment,
is.
I imagined falling forever in the dark. But it was just my imagination running wild. The floor was solid.
Hmm.
The stone door had sealed us in. No way would we have been able to prise it open.
Prise it open?
I didn't want to use my last match until I absolutely needed to.
I think you absolutely need to.
I could feel something smooth and spherical with clumps of what felt like fur or hair.
It's probably a dead body. Stone object, stony thing.
I couldn't tell what it was in the darkness.
Fuzzy round thing.
It was a small stuffed animal of some kind. Short-haired. I guessed it was a tailless squirrel. Or perhaps a small badger?
Hmm.
It was just my mind playing tricks in the dark.
So this whole sequence, I imagine, is just gonna have random things you can click on until your eyes adjust. Which
It was
is
cold to the touch and felt like carved rock. It felt cold and smooth, like worn stone.
like there's nothing here to interact with.
The place was really spooking me. I needed to find some light.
Like, should I just hammer the
It wasn't
wall?
the time to take up extreme blackout sculpture.
You know what? Let's just try to use the hammer on the door.
Nico was checking out the door. If she needed help, I knew she'd let me know.
And it doesn't seem like there's any light switches. The sad truth is I'm gonna have to use hints again. Like, I don't see anything here.
The thing had branches like a tree. I had no idea what might be lurking in the darkness. Tree or not, it was cold to the touch, like it was made from stone. The carved stone felt like the branches of a tree. Nico was checking out the door. If she needed help, I knew she'd let me know. Nope, I needed to try something else.
I feel like I've been all over this, and as it goes,
My guess was it was a hat, but without light I couldn't be sure. A large stone bowl with some kind of oily liquid in it.
okay, that stone object, let's put a match to the stone object.
Hey, Nico, I think I found some light. Whoa.
It must be Genan. Ramon said he disappeared while searching the mountains for the tabula.
So this is where he ended up. Dead in a cave. Hole in the head dead. Decomposing for decades dead. And on closer inspection, I'd even say blowing your own brains out dead.
Okay, George, I get the point. What is this place?
Who knows? But look at the Gnostic symbols.
You're right. The colors, the trees. But who is she?
It looks like the Virgin Mary, but I don't think it is.
What do you mean?
The red robes and that whole off-the-shoulder look? It must be Mary Magdalene, of course. Marquez told me that the Gnostics revered her. This place, it's some kind of Gnostic shrine.
There's got to be something to release that door. Maybe amongst these carvings.
But if it was that obvious, don't you think Ganon would have found it?
Let's just hope Ganon was stupider than these two. So, not even a real payoff there. Like, I thought we would see that one of these creatures was an animal or something, or that he had touched the corpse or something.
Ganon had certainly been busy before he blew his brains out. I wonder what he'd been up to.
So we can take the hat?
It was a fedora, just like the one in Ganon's trunk back at the Castel. The years hadn't been kind to it.
We can take the
I
gun?
picked up the old gun. It was too corroded and rusty to ever be fired again.
Well, we may still have some use to at least threaten some people with it.
It had to be Ganon. In which case, the body had been there for decades. There
And
was a bullet hole in the side of his head. Just like us, he'd been trapped. He'd chosen suicide.
So Ganon is not the same Ganon, at least it seems that way, which means we're having less opportunity for any magical force to actually take place here.
I prized the map out from under the arm of the corpse.
You'd think it might be
Like Ganon had
blood-stained.
scrawled some kind of last testament onto this map. My friends, I know that you will eventually find me, but by then it will be too late. I have decoded the tabula, and I know our destiny lies in paradise. The key to the power of God is in our hands. I die secure in the knowledge that you will now be able to complete my work. Tell my family that I died doing my duty, that I surrender my life gladly to the cause. In the light of the day, these words will fade, like our souls. But rest assured that when they do, their echoes will guide us to where we will meet once again. I'm not sure, but it looks like crafty old Ganon left a secret message in his testament.
Wolfram Mining. D A B D H. Some of these look like they've been written heavier. So ABD might be the thing we need.
The photograph was of an ancient clay tablet. Ganon had written on it. Someone, presumably Ganon, had taken the time to translate the inscription. At a glance, the inscription seemed to relate to the exploits of someone called the Sun King.
Way too late in the game to be introducing a new character. So, Laha X, Sun City region, that's A. And then Ka Ipa, burning enemy cities. And then La Jushi, Sunset Mountain. And then we didn't see anything here. We didn't see anything mention those two either. Guess we could click on all of these.
If the translation is right, the symbol La-On represents the Sun King. If the rest of the translation is anything to go by, sounds like he was quite the badass in his time. Apparently, the symbol Ib-On-Shi meant 3 kingdoms. Shi translates as Mountain Kingdom. Ganon had marked this symbol with the letter B. If Ganon's translation is correct, the symbol La-Ha-Shi represents the Sun City region.
Let's just click
Ganon
on
had marked
everything.
this symbol in red with the letter A. Du-a-shi apparently means the two-river region. The symbol ku-is-I was translated as people travel look. Some kind of prehistoric tourists? It looks like ku-u is the symbol for the tabula veritatis in this language. The symbol G-ip-ku meant ending enemy people. I guess that means poking people with pointy sticks rather than kissing and making up. If Ganon's translation is correct, the symbol Ka-ip-ha means burning enemy cities. Whoever this Sun King guy was, he certainly had a point to prove. Ganon had translated this symbol, Du-u, as 4 victories. If Ganon's translation is correct, the symbol La-ji-shi represents the Sunset Mountain. Sounds like a theme park ride. Ganon had translated this glyph, Ah-shu, as Blood River. Doesn't sound like a vacation spot.
Now when I click on something twice, does it
Ganon
just
had
say
translated this
the same
glyph,
thing again?
Ah-shu, as Blood River. The symbol Zhu-ha was translated as the Young Cities. Ganon had marked this symbol with the letter
Trying
E.
to think if some of these might combine to say something
If Ganon's translation
for a
is
secret
correct,
achievement
the
or something.
symbol Ip-lu-ap means enemy godhouse. Probably the temple of some rival deity. The symbol La-on-I meant the Sun King looked. Si-ip-ju was translated as the Gardens of Enemy Dead. According to Ganon's translation, this symbol is I-ju-lu, which means witnessing the start of Godhead.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like if I mixed and matched any of these, I would spell anything out. And then we have the artifact we need to pick up, the canteen, the flashlight. We can maybe search the corpse, maybe look at the inscription. We've got some things that we're going to look at, and I imagine as we do look at them, we might jump in percentage points as far as how much of this game is done. We are nearly at 80%, so it is possible. 2 or 3 more scenes, wrap up the story, find out what the Tabula Veritas is in some small way, kind of like how we wrapped up the Smoking Mirror Broken Sword 2, where it felt like there was a lot more game that could have been near the end than there wasn't. I wouldn't be surprised if we feel, or if I feel a little bit gypped at the end. I certainly feel gypped about the first part of this game. The entire first half is pointless, and it's not come back into play at all. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.